Many of us gathered here today are probably new immigrants or sons of and daughters of immigrants. I know we all originated from somewhere, notably Africa. That's a fact. Well, if you agree with me, this story is like yours. I might as well sit down right now to let one of you listening to me today to narrate their version of their story. But since it's our time today, I'll only ask you to relax and be attentive to my story. I'm a product of two ethnic groups in Kenya. My father is from the tall, fierce, well-renowned Maasai ethnic group, and my mother is from the most populous tribe in Kenya, and also that is relatively shorter than the Maasai. It's the Kikuyu. I was born 6 years into Kenya's independence from the British. At the time, Kenya was still grappling at ridding itself of the effects of colonization. Evidently, neither Kenya nor any other country in Africa has been able to do that. However, let me proudly state that cultural interactions between Africans and their colonizers ultimately gave rise to today's unique, diverse African societies. The Maasai, the group that I'd like to talk about it today, and my father and my mother came from different backgrounds. So there was some cultural conflicting aspects, and some of them were good. So the Maasai practiced parochial family arrangement, which means the man was the head. And it also meant that my mother left her tribe to join my father in his tribal territory. On the other hand, the Kikuyus women are the ones that headed their families. So they can see that there was a possible conflict there. But it was luck for us because it meant as children, we enjoyed the upbringing an equal share of upbringing by our parents. One of the differences between my parents' ethnic group was on the observation of one's first rites of passage. So the Maasai named their children after elderly, living, prominent personalities, memorable occasions, and objects. On the other hand, the Kikuyu named their children after their close relations, either living or dead, both from both sides in alternate ways. It therefore meant that although we all had Maasai names because we grew up in our father's side, those of us whose birth positions fell into our mother's side had silent Kikuyu names. Well, I'm not one of them because I was in the number 9. Coincidentally, my father's family was among those that the British had displaced from their habitat to pave way for the creation of the city of Nairobi. My great-grandfather was the chief spiritual leader or the custodian of the Maasai power at that time. He had a homestead right where the British had established their central administrative station. It is the same place that today's Kenya Center of Power stands. And who are the Maasai anyway? They were a renowned ethnic group that ruled parts of East Africa before the British went in. The social order of this ethnic group included arranging in a polygamous marriage the wives had on each side of the man's homestead, according to their entry as wife to the home through marriage. According to Maasai mythology, the founder of the tribe, whose name was Masinda, had two wives. One was called Molelian and the other one was Nisa. So his first wife built her hut on the right side of the homestead, and the man gave her red oxen, while the second one built hers on the left side of the gate, and the man gifted her with black oxen. So the first wife begot three sons with him, whose descendants today are or became the Odomongi, or the right side of the Maasai. The second wife had two sons, whose descendant today ended up being referred as Orop-Mungi, or the ones from the black oxen. So they form a moiety kind of arrangement. So the genealogies that arose from all these sons are now today's clans and subclans. Also with the Maasai, they have a group of generation of their men created hierarchical age sets in their adulthood, each with their own management order. Although the Maasai remain largely untouched by foreign influences, they slowly conformed to world changes as embraced by successive African governments. Well, having given you all my background and everything about me, I would like now to read two of my most favorite chapters or paragraphs in my book that I had written, a memoir called The Breaking Spear, A Culture at Crossroads with Modernity. For some reasons, my parents had decided I'll be the last in the family. I'm the ninth born, as I had said, among 12 of us. My father was operating a restaurant. After he retired from the police service, he was in an upcoming township that was about 10 kilometers from our homestead in the village. He therefore took me to his business premises so that we could bond well. And as I had earlier told you, the Maasai were polygamous. My father was no different. One of my half-brothers from my father's estranged third wife occasionally joined me in my father's business premise. Now, my father was so much involved in running his business that it was almost impossible for him to spend time with us. If he was not out outsourcing supplies, he was supervising repairs or extension on his work premise. This continuous renovation and extension of work made us shift from one room to another. My father loved loading and offloading goods from his truck. He would place old tires on the at the back of the trunk of his car, on each one on top of it, and then would push heavy drums out of it using them as a conveyance mechanism. My brother and I thought our father was the strongest man ever. A perspective that he has found by showing us his bicep, and he would tell us, "Unaona nguvu." You see, strength. He liked it when we flex our little muscles too, to imitate him. And he would then lightly tap us on our little heads and tell us, "Ensure that you eat your food well to be as strong as I am." My second part of my reading is when it's in the village. This is the time now we are almost graduating into adulthood through circumcision. There's some customary rites that goes along with that. And so what happens in this situation is that in the Maasai, people are grouped in age according to their ages and sexes. And the uninitiated boys, we are almost graduating into adulthood, are always the least in the hierarchy. So I will read now I would say, as growing boys, we mostly enjoy participating in meat feasts. The villagers or the hosts of the feast kill livestock such as cows and sheep for the villagers to eat during the celebrations. The people shared the meat in groups according to their sexes and ages. The uninitiated boys had the left side of the cow's rib and the neck bone. So it was the duty of the warriors to roast the ribs for them during the day and ensure that they shared the ribs amicably. Since the young, inexperienced, and disorganized boys often allowed the neck bone to get partially cooked. No, now the boys also cook the neck as a pastime during the night. Since the boys are inexperienced, with their inexperience and disorganization, often allow the neck bone to get partially cooked before wrestling it out amongst themselves, each struggled to bite off a ripping side of the meat as much as they could. They would then let the bone roast some more before repeatedly fighting it out again and again while singing the boys' song, which goes like this. Into yang nawe kenyi nago linkidongo. Erumuta yo gengi magi mariri monita na diangema. Which literally means our guards of monkeys with stiff necks, with stiff tails. Smoke is irritating our eyes as we look over an intestine that is burning over a fire. So in conclusion, I would say I find the last part particularly relevant today in this forum, especially when the world is experiencing unprecedented high levels of immigration. The phenomenon has increasingly necessitated for the need of sharing each other's individual or communal values. It has provided us with the opportunity of acknowledging our differences. Knowing and understanding each other's historical background will enable us to understand and respect each other. And in so doing, we will likely help in reducing the likelihood of possible conflicts and tension between us in future. On the other hand, failure to do this will surely leave us lamenting the sadness that would come with it, just like the way the boys sang the song. Thank you.